Hello, friends. Today we are going to discuss a very important lesson entitled A Letter to God, author Gregorio Lopez Fuentes. The source of this lesson is First Flight from class 10. I am N.Matolya PGT English from JNB Barginagar, Jabalpur. In this presentation, we are going to discuss about pre-reading activity, previous knowledge. Under introduction, we will discuss about the author, about the lesson, discussion on the text, comprehension questions. Then we are going to discuss on vocabulary, some characters. We are going to discuss literary devices, summary of the lesson, and at last we are going to see the assignment and homework for the students. So far as previous knowledge is concerned, questions related to previous knowledge to warm up the students. The question number one, have you visited ever post office or have you ever visited post office? Have you seen the postman? Do you know how your letter reaches your relatives or some of your friends? Have you ever written a letter to God? Some pre-reading activity for the students. First one, we may show students postcard, money order form, EMO. Student can be engaged in filling up money order form, and we can engage the students in some role play. Friends, let's have a look on author. We shall discuss about the author. Gregorio Lopez Fuentes, 1895-1966, was a Mexican novelist, poet, and journalist. Fuentes started writing at the age of 15 when the Mexican Revolution began. Many of his books are related to the civil conflict. His stories are exciting and humorous. He was awarded the National Prize of Arts and Science in 1935. Now, about the lesson. A Letter to God is a marvelous story depicting well the unshakable and absolute faith of a simple minded, hard-working, and God fearing farmer Lencho. He writes a letter to God after his crop of corn was totally destroyed due to hailstorm. Lencho asked God to send him 100 pesos through a letter. About the lesson continued, the generous and kind-hearted postmaster arranges 70 pesos and sends it to Lento. He writes another letter. Means Lento writes another letter to God asking God not to send the balance amount by the post office to the post office as the post office employees are a bunch of crooks, means they are thieves. Now we shall discuss on the text. First of all, Lencho, a farmer. First point, Lencho, a farmer. Lencho, a simple, hardworking, God-fearing, lived in a solitary house on the crest of a low hill. He was an experienced farmer, knew that rain was of the paramount importance for his field, predicted about the coming up of rain. Second point, Lencho extremely happy about happy, but for a short time. The corresponding subpoints are his prediction turned true. Big raindrops began to fall. Extremely happy he was, had the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. He compared big raindrops to new coins. His happiness was short lived because rain turned into a hailstones falling. It caused totally destruction of his crop of corn. Third point, Lencho looked towards God for help. When all when whole of his crop destroyed, so he had only single help, hope that was from the God himself. Lencho looked towards God for help. Lencho felt with desperation, afraid that his family might have go to hungry this year. All the family had a single hope, help from God. They thought God to be omnipresent and he sees everything. Further, with a hope for help from God, Lencho wrote a letter to God. Very strange thing. Stated in the letter, if he want help, his family would go hungry that year. He asked God to help him by giving him 100 pesos. He wrote only God on the envelope and dropped it into the mailbox in the town. Next point, the postmaster received Lencho's letter. Corresponding subpoints are a postman took out the letter from mailbox, went to his boss laughing heartily, showed him the letter addressed to God. The postmaster was a generous, he was kind hearted, he was an amiable fellow. The postmaster also laughed but soon became serious, commented that he wished if he had the faith of the man who wrote that letter. Men point 5, the postmaster decided to help Lencho. Means postmaster did not want did not want Lencho to forget God. The postmaster decided to help Lencho. The postmaster did not want to shake faith in God of the person who wrote the letter. He asked his subordinates and friends for money and added a part of his salary. The purpose, simple purpose, monetary help to the writer of the letter, but he could arrange only 70 pesos, wrote only God on the letter, put that money in it and sent it to Lencho. Lencho writes second letter to God. Point number 6. Lencho writes second letter to God. The corresponding some points are Lencho received the envelope, not surprised to receive the money, counted the money, found only 70 pesos, 30 pesos short in the envelope. Lencho thought God had sent 100 pesos, the entire amount demanded by him. In the second letter, he wrote the second letter to God, asking him for sending the balance 30 pesos, but not through the mail, as the post office employs bunch of crooks. Here are some comprehension questions. What did Lencho hope for? Why did Lencho say the raindrops were like new coins? How did the rain change? What happened to Lencho's field? What were Lencho's feelings when the hailstorm stopped? Notes and glossary. Crest. Crest means top, the highest part of a hill. Dotted with. Dotted with. Dotted with means scattered over an area. Predict. Predict. Predict means foretell the future. Drape. Drape. Drape means cover. Locusts. Locusts. Insects which fly in big groups and destroy crops. Solitary. Solitary. Lonely. Single. Upset. Upset means disturbed. Conscience. Conscience inner sense of right and wrong. Peso. Currency of several Latin American countries. Have a look on the hard words and their meanings. Okay, next. Next. Now we shall discuss about the characters. The protagonist of the story is Lencho. About Lencho, certain points are there. Please see. Lencho, simple, hardworking, God-fearing, innocent, firmly believed in God. I repeat, simple, hardworking, God-fearing, innocent, firmly believed in God. Next. Second important character in the story is the postmaster. About the postmaster, we have certain points. Kind-hearted means postmaster was kind-hearted person. Generous, generous, commended Lencho's faith in God, and he was helping. He was a person of helping nature. Third important character in the story is Lencho's wife. She was devoted, optimist, caring, loving. Then, post office employees. Post office employees were kind hearted, helping in nature, quite understanding, very faithful to his boss. We come across certain literary devices in the story. There are three literary devices: irony, metaphor, simile. We shall discuss each literary device one by one. So, first of all, irony. The irony of the situation is that Lencho thought God had sent him 100 pesos, but the post office employees had taken rest of the money. So Lencho wrote another letter to God asking him to send the remaining money. He requested God not to send the money to the post office because it employees were a bunch of crooks, means thieves. Thus, the employees who contributed and collected money were doubted of taking the rest of the money. Next figure of speech is metaphor. Metaphor. The word metaphor comes from a Greek word meaning transfer. Metaphors compare two things, mean two different things, two dissimilar things or ideas. A quality or feature of one thing is transferred to another thing. For example, the leg of the table. The legs support our body, so the objects that support the table is described as leg. In the story, metaphor use mountains of clouds, an ox of a man, etc. Third literary device is simile. Simile means a figure of speech. Simile is a figure of speech in which the comparison is made between two different things, different dissimilar objects using words such as like so. Examples are the field was white as if covered with salt. Another example, working like an animal in the fields. We come across conflicts in the story. There are different kinds of conflicts in the story. A letter to God depicts two kinds of conflicts. First conflict between human and nature. Certain points are there. Lencho, a simple and hardworking farmer, has unquestionable faith in God. His cornfield badly needed rain, felt happy when it started raining, became happy when the rain turned into hailstorm. His entire crop was destroyed. Lencho became a victim of the fury of nature. Then we come across conflict between humans themselves. Means between humans and humans. Points are Lencho wrote a letter to God asking help for him, demanded him 100 pesos to buy seeds and sow his field again. Postman brought Lencho's letter to the postmaster. Postmaster commended the faith of the writer of the letter. He collected only 17 pesos from his colleagues and his friends apart from his own contribution. Got the letter posted to Lencho with money in that and writing only God on the letter, on the envelope. When received the letter contributing only 17 pesos, became angry. Thought that the post office employees had kept 30 pesos. He believed God must have sent him 100 pesos. That thus it shows conflict between humans themselves. Now, recap summary of the lesson. In this story, Lencho has been portrayed as a deeply spiritual man. He had immense faith in God's goodness and generosity. After his crop was destroyed in a storm, he wrote a letter to God. He wrote a letter to God. He requested him to send him 100 pesos. His faith was rewarded. God helped him through the postmaster. Since the postmaster could manage only 70 pesos, he sent them all to maintain Lencho's faith in God. The innocent Lencho thanked God for his help. He also wrote another letter to God asking him to send 30 more pesos. He appealed to God to send the money through some other means, to some other mode. As he suspected the post office employees were crooks. Now, understanding of the lesson, some questions are there. This is homework for you, assignment for you, dear students. Questions are: first one, who does Lencho have faith? Who does Lencho have complete faith in? What sentence in the story tell you this? Why does the postmaster send money to Lencho? Why does he sign the letter God? Question number three. Did Lencho try to find out who had sent the money to him? Why and why not? This is extrapolative kind of question, open-ended question. Who does Lencho think has taken the rest of the money? What is the irony in the situation? And last question, there are two kinds of conflict in the story between humans and nature and between humans themselves. How are these conflicts illustrated in the story? This is the end of the show, end of presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.